because I've had a fair amount of experience visiting Indigenous communities all across Alberta. And I know enough to know that, speaking to the chief and council of an Indigenous community, a nation, is not simply the only way that you can consult. In fact, it is the opinion of several members of Indigenous communities that it's the responsibility of a chief and council to take the information back to its members, back to the members of the community, and to hold discussions on what's being proposed. Now, I want to, and it's important because we're putting in this context because, of course, we're trying to shorten the timelines, while at the same time, if we are to truly respect how Indigenous communities discern whether they want to move forward with a particular project or how they are going to be participating within a particular project, that needs to take its time as well. And I'll remind members of this House that the whole concept of chief and council was actually something established by the Indian Act, Canadian law. And it's not so much the way that the majority of Indigenous communities actually conceptualize of leadership and authority within their communities. For those who know the topic well, they will know that elders in the community play an essential role in the decision-making process. And in light of the fact that as a society we have matured enough to now know that we need to do our best for reconciliation here in the province of Alberta as a government, to reconcile with Indigenous communities because of injustices that have occurred in the past. I think that this needs to be highly considered, right? It's also an important part of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, not only the reconciliation process that we need to do as well. We need to understand that there are international laws decided upon, discerned on by Indigenous communities worldwide. And I know that perhaps not all agree with what has been stated inside of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, but that we should be doing our best as a government to make sure that we are respecting Indigenous communities fully. And again, I go back to the role of Indigenous elders within those communities. And knowing that simply reaching out to the chief of a particular nation and having a discussion, although it is legitimate, is not the only way that consultation can take place. And if we are to be fair and just in our processes, then we should strive to encourage and provide the time for Indigenous communities to actually go through a consultation process with people in their communities, right?